Okay, picture this. You pour, what, $1.75 billion into a brand new company before it even launches. Just imagine.
It's kind of mind-boggling, isn't it?
Right. And then the leadership team, you've got Jeffrey Katzenberg, the Hollywood legend from Disney, DreamWorks, and Meg Whitman, tech giant, eBay, HP.
Two absolute heavyweights.
Plus A-list creators lined up, Steven Spielberg, Guillermo del Toro. They're all ready to make content. Seems like a perfect recipe, yeah.
Absolutely. All the ingredients were there.
Yet, this thing launches in April 2020, and then boom, it just spectacularly fails, shuts down 6 months later.
Just 6 months. Incredible.
Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're really digging into, well, one of the biggest cautionary tales in recent business history, Quibi. That name, short for Quick Bites. We've gone through a ton of sources covering its, I guess, meteoric rise and maybe even faster fall.
Yeah, it's quick.
And our mission here is to really unpack what happened. What were those fundamental strategic mistakes? Because it really shows that star power, deep pocket, it's just no guarantee.
No guarantee at all. And it's such a fascinating case study.
Yeah.
You don't need to be a venture capitalist or anything to get something out of this.
Definitely not.
We're going to pull out some real practical lessons here. Things that are valuable if you're running a business, thinking about innovation, or honestly, if you're just curious why sometimes these huge ideas just crash and burn.
And what we found about this whole concept, these quick bites of premium shows just for your phone, it tells you so much about really, truly understanding what people need or don't need.
Yeah, that's where it gets really interesting.
Okay, so let's rewind. The vision, the big pitch. What was Quibi supposed to be?
Right, so the core idea was high-quality videos, but short, like really short, under 10 minutes.
Specifically for your phone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Designed for mobile viewing. The idea was to capture those little moments.
With your commute, maybe waiting for coffee, lunch break.
Yeah, those little bits of downtime, filling those quick bite opportunities with something premium.
And that idea, coupled with who was behind it, Katzenberg, Whitman, that's what attracted the money, right?
Oh, absolutely. The reputations were huge. And that's how they pulled in that just astonishing $1.75 billion before launch day.
It's still staggering to think about that number.
It really is. A massive vote of confidence from major investors, Disney, Sony, Alibaba.
And they weren't just planning cheap YouTube knockoffs. They were promising serious quality.
Top-tier stuff. We mentioned Spielberg, Del Toro, Sam Raimi directing.
And big names in front of the camera, too.
Yeah.
Liam Hemsworth, Anna Kendrick, Christoph Waltz.
Yeah, a real mix. Scripted shows, reality TV, news updates, daily essentials, they call them, all sliced into these short chapters.
And then they launch April 6th, 2020, which, looking back...
Wow.
Yeah.
Right as the world was really locking down. Early days of the pandemic. Not exactly on-the-go time for most people.
Okay, so despite all that hype, the money, the stars, and they had that long 90-day free trial.
Generous trial, yeah.
It just didn't take off. By the end of month one, what was it, 3.5 million downloads, but only 1.3 million actually using it.
Yeah, a huge drop-off. And miles below what they predicted. They were hoping for 7 million subscribers in the first year. They weren't even close after a month.
So what were those first, visible cracks appearing?
Well, they started showing up almost right away. By May, Katzenberg was already blaming the pandemic pretty publicly.
Which didn't go over too well, as I recall. Seemed like shifting blame.
Right. And then in June, they slashed that free trial. 90 days down to just 2 weeks.
Ouch. That signals pairing, doesn't it? Low conversion rates.
Exactly. People were trying it, but they weren't sticking around or paying up.
Ugh.
Clearly, something fundamental wasn't working.
And it didn't stop there. July, they lost a lawsuit over their key tech, that turnstile thing.
Yeah, the portrait-to-landscape viewing feature, that was supposed to be a big, unique selling point. Losing that battle hurt.
And then by August, just 4 months in, rumors are swirling. They're looking for a buyer, exploring options.
Yeah, the writing was kind of on the wall. It unraveled incredibly fast.
So fast. The final nail came when...
October 21st, 2020. Just over 6 months after launch, they announced they were shutting down. Done.
And the official reason was... a mix of things.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
They admitted the core idea maybe wasn't strong enough on its own, and of course they pointed to the pandemic timing again.
Okay, so let's unpack this spectacular flameout. What are the big lessons here for you listening? Lesson one, for me, has to be about product market fit.
The absolute cornerstone.
Quibi assumed there was this massive unmet need, right, for high-quality short stuff on your phone. But was there, really?
Well, that's the core question, isn't it? Because when you actually look at the landscape,
It was already crowded.
totally crowded. You had YouTube, TikTok, Instagram Reels,
Yeah.
tons of free short-form video already. People weren't exactly starved for it.
And if you wanted premium shows.
You already had Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime Video,
Yeah.
all perfectly usable on your phone. And crucially, you could pause on your phone and pick it up later on your TV. Quibi didn't offer that initially.
So they weren't solving a new problem. Not really.
Not a burning one. Anyway,
Yeah.
so different from, say, how Amazon started, they targeted book lovers who couldn't find specific books easily. Clear problem, clear solution.
Or Netflix, going after people fed up with Blockbuster's late fees and limited selection. Again, super specific pain point.
Exactly. They found a real niche, a real frustration. Quibi, maybe not so much.
So the lesson there is just vital. Before you pour resources in, you have got to validate that customer problem deeply. Are you actually making someone's life better or easier?
Or are you just building something cool that maybe nobody actually asked for?
Yeah.
It's a tough question to ask yourself, but essential.
Which flows right into the second lesson, clarity, positioning in a market that's already noisy.
Yeah, this was a big stumble for Quibi.
Because it was confusing, wasn't it? Like, when am I supposed to use this? Why? If it's for commutes, what happens when there are no commutes?
Right. And how is it really different from watching a YouTube clip or even a bit of a Netflix show on my phone? The value proposition was fuzzy.
And that insistence on being only on mobile at the start, that felt weirdly restrictive.
It really did. People are used to flexibility now. Watch anywhere, any device. Limiting it just seemed arbitrary, kind of annoying even.
So your product, your service, it has to instantly answer. What is this? When do I use it? And why is it better for me, for my specific need, right now?
Precisely. If users have to work hard to figure out your place in their lives, you're already losing.
Okay, lesson 3. This one feels huge, combining a few things: content, context, and just being able to adapt.
Ah, yes. Adaptability is survival, truly.
Quibi's rigid mobile-only thing just flew in the face of how people actually watch stuff, right? We like starting on one screen, maybe finishing on another.
We absolutely do. That flexibility is almost expected now, and then the context. The pandemic just pulled the rug out from under their main use case.
The whole on-the-go thing vanished overnight.
Exactly. People were stuck at home, suddenly wanting longer shows, often on bigger screens, comfort viewing.
And Quibi was just slow, so slow to react. It took them months to even allow casting to a TV.
Agonizingly slow, which really highlights the need for agility. How fast can your business pivot when the world changes unexpectedly? Or even just when user behavior shifts?
You mentioned some examples earlier, like Slack.
Yeah. Slack started as a tool for an internal game company. They pivoted to become the communication platform we know. Instagram was originally a check-in app called Bourbon.
Wow, I didn't know that about Instagram either.
And YouTube, believe it or not, apparently started as some kind of video dating site.
No way. Okay, that's adaptability.
It really is. Being willing to change, sometimes drastically, based on what's happening.
Right. Okay, lesson 4. This one's about content strategy. Quibi went all in on originals from day one. Expensive originals.
Yeah, a massive, massive gamble for a brand new service with 0 subscribers.
Why was that such a risk?
Well, first, the cost. A-list talent is not cheap. Sky-high expenses right out of the gate. Second, they had no data. No idea what kind of shows people might actually want on their platform.
They were guessing.
Totally guessing. Third, it meant a really limited library at launch, no back catalog, no familiar favorites to draw people in, just these brand new, unproven shows.
Contrast that with Netflix.
Totally different playbook. Netflix started by licensing existing movies and TV shows, stuff people already knew and liked.
So they built their audience first.
Exactly. Built a huge user base, gathered tons of data on what people watched, when they watched, what they liked.
And then they started making originals.
Precisely. Like House of Cards in 2013. By then, they knew their audience. They could make much smarter bets based on actual viewing habits.
So the lesson is maybe. Don't try to boil the ocean on day one with content. Phase it in. Use data.
Yeah, a phased approach seems much safer. Build an audience, learn from them, then invest heavily in originals based on that learning. Mitigates risk hugely.
Okay, lesson 5. This one's counterintuitive, maybe. That having too much money can actually be a bad thing.
It sounds crazy, but yeah, it can be a trap. That $1.75 billion, it might have bred some complacency.
How so?
Well, it potentially allowed them to skip the really hard, scrappy, lean startup phase.
Mm-hmm.
Where you launch a minimum viable product, an MVP.
Test it, get feedback, iterate, test again.
Exactly, that crucial learning cycle. Quibi seemed to skip that. They went for the huge Big Bang launch, Super Bowl ads, massive hype, before really knowing if the core product worked for people.
Instead of being forced to be frugal and really listen.
Right. Constraints can force creativity. Limited funds make you incredibly focus on what truly matters to the user right now. You have to get feedback and adapt quickly because you don't have endless cash to burn.
Is there like a historical parallel?
People sometimes compare it to the Ford Edsel back in the 50s. Huge budget, massive marketing campaign, tons of hype.
But nobody had really checked if people actually wanted the car.
Pretty much. It was designed by committee, lots of assumptions, not enough real-world testing, and it famously flopped. Sometimes having all the money in the world lets you avoid asking the hard questions early on.
That's fascinating. Too much money preventing learning. Wow. Okay, lesson 6. User experience. It beats flashy features.
Always. It's about what actually helps or delights the user day to day.
Quibi made a huge deal about their turnstile tech.
That landscape to portrait flip, yeah. It was technically clever, I guess.
But did it solve a real problem? Did anyone really care?
Not really, it seems. It was kind of a novelty. Meanwhile, they were missing basic UX stuff people did care about.
Like what?
Like easily sharing a clip or even a screenshot. That wasn't simple. No TV app at launch, which became a huge issue during lockdown.
People found the navigation a bit confusing, too.
So the focus was on the shiny new tech, not the fundamentals. It seems that way. The lesson for you is crystal clear. Prioritize making the core experience smooth, intuitive, and genuinely useful before pouring resources into gimmicks or novelties. Fix the real pain points first.
Okay, final lesson, number 7. And this kind of ties it all together. Know your audience and timing.
Crucial. Both were way off for Quibi.
They were targeting Gen Z, younger millennials, right? But the marketing, it felt kind of old school.
It did feel a bit disconnected. It didn't really leverage social media effectively, didn't integrate sharing well, things the demographic really values.
And they maybe misunderstood how that audience watches video.
Yeah, there seemed to be an assumption they only wanted short stuff on mobile.
Yeah.
But, Gen Z watches long movies on their phones, too. They value flexibility, phone, tablet, TV. Quibi's initial rigidity just didn't align.
Big audience disconnect. And then the timing.
The timing. Launching a service built for on-the-go moments right when the entire world stopped going anywhere. You couldn't script worse timing.
April 2020. Viewing habits just shifted instantly. People wanted longer, comforting stuff at home.
Exactly. And on top of that, think about the competition launching right around then. Disney Plus, Apple TV Plus, HBO Max, Peacock.
The streaming wars were heating up intensely.
So Quibi launched into this perfect storm. Wrong product context due to the pandemic, and an incredibly crowded competitive market.
It really underlines how critical deep audience understanding is and how much timing, or at least being able to adapt to the timing, really matters.
It can absolutely make or break you.
So after the shutdown, what happened to all that content, all those expensive quick bites? Did they just vanish into thin air?
Not quite. In early 2021 January, Roku stepped in.
Roku, the streaming device company.
Yep. They bought Quibi's entire content library, the whole catalog.
For how much? Must have been pennies on the dollar compared to what Quibi spent making it.
Oh, absolutely. Reports say it was less than $100 million, considering Quibi spent close to $2 billion.
Yeah.
Yeah, a tiny fraction.
Wow. And what did Roku do with it?
They rebranded a lot of it as Roku Originals.
Oh, I've seen those.
Yeah, they put them on the Roku channel, which is their free ad-supported streaming service. So the shows found a new life, just not under the Quibi banner.
And that turnstile lawsuit, did that get resolved?
It did.
Yeah.
Roku and Eco, the company that sued over the tech, settled that dispute later in 2021. So that loose end got tied up too.
So Quibi itself died, but the content, in a way, survived.
It did, yeah. It found a different home.
Okay, wrapping this up then. Quibi's story. It's just such a stark reminder, isn't it? Even with the biggest names, the most experienced leaders, unbelievable funding.
None of it guarantees success if you get the fundamentals wrong.
Especially that connection with what customers actually need and want, and that failure to adapt when things change so dramatically.
Yeah, the lack of adaptability was critical. The biggest takeaway, I think, for anyone listening is just hammering home the importance of really understanding your customer's problem.
Test your ideas. Don't just assume.
Rigorously test those assumptions. Stay flexible, stay agile, because the market will change. and focus on that core user experience above all else. Don't get distracted by shiny objects.
So what's the final thought here? Does a failure like Quiggy mean big, ambitious swings are just too risky? Or does it underline that no matter how big the idea, that process of testing, learning, iterating, it's just non-negotiable?
I lean towards the latter. Innovation requires big swings, but maybe it requires even more humility and willingness to learn along the way.
And it's interesting, right, how this massive failure ultimately fed content into Roku, helping build their original offering.
Yeah. Even in spectacular failure, value can be created elsewhere, unexpectedly. So what really stands out to you about this deep dive into the Quibi saga?